Good evening. First, we have a special meeting. It's only going to be a couple minutes before we start the regular meeting. So, I'd like to call the Jurupa School Facilities Corporation special meeting of the Board of Trustees on Tuesday, January 16th, 2018. Roll call, please.
Mr. Garcia?
Here.
Mr. Deshawn? Here. Mrs. Bradford?
Here.
Mrs. Char?
Here.
Mr. Mendez?
Here.
Ms. Ortega?
Here.
Mrs. Ford?
Here.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask the public if they have any comments on this matter. Anyone? Okay. Item A, approve the 2016-2017 annual report of the Jurupa School Facilities Corporation. Mrs. Ford.
Thank you. Each year, the Jurupa School Facilities Corporation brings to the board an annual report. The JSFC is a nonprofit tax-exempt corporation and functions as a pass-through entity to facilitate the acquisition, construction, installation, and maintenance of certain district public improvements and equipment, and it restricts its activities so that there's no gain, there's no profits, or dividends distributed. However, the JSFC is required to file federal and state tax returns, and in your backup materials, you have the 2016-2017 draft tax returns, and administration is recommending that the board approve the 2016-17 annual report of the Jurupa School Facilities Corporation and direct staff to file those tax returns.
So move.
Motion by Ms. Ortega,
Second.
second by Mr. Mendez. Any questions or comments? Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Garcia?
Yes.
Mr. Deshawn?
Yes.
Mrs. Bradford?
Yes.
Mrs. Char?
Yes.
Mr. Mendez?
Yes.
Ms. Ortega? Yes. Mrs. Ford?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Okay, on to item B, approve minutes of the September 12th, 2016 meeting.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mrs. Chard,
Second.
second by Mrs. Ortega. Any questions or comments? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Garcia?
Yes.
Mr. Deshawn? Yes. Mrs. Bradford?
Yes.
Mrs. Char?
Yes.
Mr. Mendez?
Yes.
Ms. Ortega? Yes. Mrs. Ford?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Meeting adjourned. Okay. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for your patience. And welcome to the January 16th, 2018 Jurupa Unified School District Board of Education meeting. Roll call, please.
President Garcia?
Here.
Mrs. Char?
Here.
Mrs. Bradford? Here. Mr. Mendez?
Here.
Ms. Ortega?
Here.
Natalie Zepeda? Here. Oscar Bannon? Leo Gonzalez?
Thank you. Mr. Clint Bradford, will you please lead us in the flag salute? And if I could ask everyone to please remain standing afterwards for a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I would like to hold a moment of silence for Mr. Chris Eckert, Maintenance and Operations staff member since 1999, who passed away on December 16th. The board would like to express their condolences to the Eckert family and JUSD staff. Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, Mrs. Bradford, would you please lead us in our inspirational comment?
Sure. This is to our students as well as our adults. I know you have discussed Dr. Martin Luther King in observance of his birthday yesterday. And I wanted to continue the honor by pointing out to you that you don't have, and students, I'm talking to you, okay? And students, I'm talking to you, especially because you're getting on to the age where you make decisions that differentiate you from your peers. And I want you to know that Dr. Martin Luther King not only received the Nobel Peace Prize, he received it when he was 35 years old. And this was for combating racial inequality through nonviolent resistance. His life ended when he was 39, when he was murdered for those beliefs. But what I want you to remember is the importance of being true to yourself by listening to these words. In the end, we will remember not only the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. That means you stand up for what you believe in, you stick up for your friends. And he also said, the time is always right to do what is right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bradford. Mrs. Elzig, do we have any reports from closed session? Okay, thank you. Mr. Dabrowski, please report from the closed session.
By a vote of 5-0, the board voted to approve a settlement agreement in a special education dispute regarding OAH case number 2017-110351, resolving all issues in the dispute.
Thank you, Mr. Dabrowski. On to welcome. Item 1, welcome. A, performance by the Pacific Avenue Academy of Music Upper Grades Choir. Mr. Duchamp.
Good evening, boys and girls. How are you? Well, we would welcome you. Looks like a lot of, well, there's boys and girls here. Well, as at least all of the board members, and I hope most of the audience knows, Pacific Avenue Academy of Music is a very, very special school. And I'm not going to tell you why. You're going to hear why when these young ladies and gentlemen sing under the direction of their teacher, Miss Mary Golden. And I believe Mr. Wassinger is back there. He also teaches the children, but he is accompanied tonight. And the principal, Ms. Maureen Dalamont, is here. We are very fortunate that the community supports actually preschool through 6th grade Academy of Music, where every student in the school, in every class, has music instruction. And we have 2 full-time music instructors there, and actually one other that rotates there teaching the students violin. And I think they've also taken on some cello this year, or viola, maybe both. So we're getting to that full symphony orchestra pretty soon. So with that said, members of the board, I'd like to present the upper grade choir from Pacific Avenue Academy of Music.
Thank you, Ms. Golden. Thank you, students. Beautiful. And Mr. Wassinger, thank you very much. Good job.
I'd like to make a comment about this. I'd like to make a comment real quick. I'd just like to make a comment. I have a niece a niece and a nephew both that go to Pacific. And these students sound like this every time. They don't make a mistake. That it's just outstanding what we've been able to accomplish. Thank you so much.
Okay, that was lovely. Okay, moving on to item B, 2017-2018 student board members. Mr. DeShawn.
Well, good evening, students. How are you tonight? Why don't we start with Natalie and Jurupa Valley High School? Thank you for being here.
Good evening, President Garcia, members of the board, Mr. DeShawn, and cabinet. These past couple weeks have been pretty fun for the Jaguars. To open up our year, we had our Jag Rush. Jag Rush is when our future Jags from Miralomo Middle School come to campus and get a tour of our amazing school and get an idea of some of the clubs we have on campus just as well as our sports. They were able to ask questions, join clubs, sign up for sports, and talk to our teachers. The day after Jag Rush, at 6 p.m., we had our Jag Expo. Jag Expo is just like Jag Rush, but our future Jag parents came along to visit. They got to meet our counselors, some of our admin, and teachers. They were also selling tacos that night. We gave our parents a chance to walk around campus and check out our new innovation center that just opened up. This week is an exciting week for us. This week we had our Spirit Week. We opened up our week with Nightmare Before Christmas, Wear Your PJs. Wednesday is Chip and Dale Twin Day. Thursday is Who's in Whoville Crazy Hair Day. Friday is our Winter Wonderland, Wear White. And Friday is also our Wonderland Pep Rally. January 20th is our Winter Formal Dance at the Victoria Gardens Cultural Center. Thank you, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. Austin, would you like to brief us on Patriot High School?
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. I hope you all had a wonderful holiday. This month is buzzing over at PHS. Our winter sports are in full swing, including boys and girls, basketball, soccer, golf, wrestling. To commemorate these sports, our winter pep rally themed Light Up the Night is taking place Friday on January 26th. Our winter ball is taking place that following day on Saturday the 27th. A contingent of 10 Korean students are also going to be touring our school from January 30th to 31st. They'll be staying with our band students for the few days that they are here. Also on the 31st, we'll be hosting our winter blood drive for students and staff to donate blood. Last drive, we donated over 250 pints of blood, and we hope to beat that number this time around. Finally, next Tuesday, PHS will be hosting a parent admin forum at 6 o'clock in the library. Thank you, and this concludes my report.
Thank you, Austin. And Kyle, we saved you for last so you could give the longest report.
Good evening, board. Let's hope to start off 2018 right for our Falcons. First of all, this week, our Winter Bash nominees began campaigning all throughout the week, and the winners will be announced this Saturday at our dance, which this year is taking place at Castle Park under the Big Top. This Friday is our second rally of the year, which is the arcade-themed Black Light Rally that uses UV lights to make a unique experience that is very time-consuming and definitely worth it. As of today, most winter sports are competing in league, which also means they are coming to an end. Tomorrow at 6 o'clock, wrestling will be having their senior night tomorrow. That concludes my report.
Yeah, thank you, guys. On to item 2, recognition. First one, A, recognize best of the best for October, November, December employee recognition. Mr. Brooks.
Anna is a translator clerk typist at Sunny Slope Elementary. In all of her work, it is clear that Anna cares and will do whatever is needed to best serve the students of Sunny Slope. Recently, Anna went the extra mile to help support a struggling student. This particular student had recently arrived from another district. Several weeks had gone by, and Sunny Slope still didn't have any of the necessary records from the previous school. Fortunately, Anna was very persistent in contacting the student's previous school and district, and due to her efforts, Sunny Slope was finally able to get the information they needed to make sure that we're providing the services that this student needs. It's just one example to show that Anna is an excellent employee and deserves this recognition. Anna, thank you very much for going above and beyond. Our next recipient tonight is Lisette Geraldo. I don't believe she was able to make it. We'll take a moment to acknowledge her anyway. Lisette is a healthcare aide at Mission Middle School, and she was nominated for her hard work and dedication. She does a remarkable job helping to keep our students healthy, including everything from taking their temperatures, helping with medications, ensuring that students have had appropriate vaccinations, and have had their vision and hearing exams. She does all of this in a caring and professional manner, not to mention while keeping middle school students calm with her positive attitude. Lisette certainly represents one of Jurupa's best of the best. Thank you, Lisette, wherever you are, for all you do. Our next recipient is Bertha Romero. Is Bertha here? There she is. Bertha has 2 roles at Pedley Elementary, serving as both an activity supervisor and as an instructional aide. Beyond being just dependable, Bertha is an absolute go-getter. As such, she is an employee who is always looking for ways to step up and help students, to help her colleagues, and to help the school in general. So in addition to her regular duties, she is often found helping out in the office, providing Spanish translation, and finding other ways to contribute around campus. She has a positive attitude that is contagious, and her friendliness makes her a pleasure for students, parents, and the staff to work with. We are all so fortunate to have Bertha as a part of the Jurupa family. Thank you, Bertha, for all you do. And our next recipient is Heather McIntosh, who I don't think was able to make it. Is Heather here? Heather is a teacher at Patriot High School who became the 10th grade data team leader this year. In order to take on this new, very demanding role that, keep in mind, is over and above her regular classroom duties, Heather had to give up another role that she had held for some time on campus. But she handled that change with an impressive amount of grace and a work ethic that provided stability and continuity for her team. As the data team leader, she analyzes the data and prepares resources for the team. At one point, she even initiated an after-school brainstorming session for team members to discuss how they would approach an upcoming instructional unit. It goes without saying that she is highly organized, efficient, and an excellent communicator. Heather is truly one of the best, and our thanks go out to Heather. Our next recipient is Susan Tanner. I believe Ms. Tanner was going to come. Is Tanner here? There she is. Susan Tanner is a teacher at Sky Country Elementary. In addition to all that she provides for students in her daily work as a teacher there at Sky, For over 5 years, Susan has volunteered to be the school's choir director. Due to her hard work, over 50 students are able to participate in this enriching activity, which includes twice weekly rehearsals and performing with the school band in the holiday and spring concerts. Proud to say that Susan and her team have even taken the choir to represent our district at the Mission Inn's Festival of Lights and to perform the national anthem at minor league baseball games. These are incredible experiences for our students, all made possible by Susan's efforts. For all of the many hours you dedicate to your students and for the work you do to go above and beyond for the choir, we thank you, Susan, and we are proud to recognize you tonight as one of the best of the best. Thank you very much for all you do. Our next recipient, I believe, was unable to attend tonight, is Kari Rohr. Is Ms. Rohr here? Ms. Rohr is a speech and language pathologist for Jurupa, who works primarily at Mission Middle. She was nominated for the extraordinary compassion she shows for all students. She's known for her ability to bring students together and to help them to feel welcomed by connecting them with clubs and to make sure that every individual knows that they belong there. As an advocate for students, she strives to make the quality of every student's experience meaningful every day. To take just one example, Kari ensures that students have the resources they need by co-sponsoring Club Outreach, which is a club that provides school supplies, clothing, and other necessary items to students who need them. She is a dedicated, talented member of the Jurupa family and is truly one of the best, and our thanks go out to Kari for all that she does. The next recipient is Karina Becerra Murillo, who I know I saw here. There she is. Karina is a coordinator of special education for the district, and as such, she provides direct support to special education students, teachers, and staff in a variety of programs and settings, including preschool, elementary, functional skills, and more. In her work, she is known for being extremely organized and for providing solid leadership as she works to plan and arrange for students to receive the services and support that they need. She is an amazing support to staff and has worked hard to build excellent relationships with her students' families. In particular, her communication skills and ability to build positive relationships have fostered trust and have enabled many of our students to receive the vital services that they need. Karina is a valuable asset to Education Support Services and the district. Thank you, Karina, for all that you do. Our next recipient is Jose Campos. Mr. Campos is here. As the Director of Parent Involvement and Community Outreach, Mr. Campos works tirelessly to create a comprehensive support system for parents and students. To take just a few of the shining examples of what he and his team provide, parents as leaders and many other parent training programs, dental programs, mobile and site-based health clinics, mental health services, technology training for parents, early childhood support services and programs, and healthy bodies, healthy minds. His department's vision is, by developing assets, we eliminate barriers. Mr. Campos truly lives this vision, and Jurupa's students benefit. Our district and the greater community of Jurupa Valley are extremely fortunate to have such a passionate and hardworking leader. Thank you, Mr. Campos. And our final recipient tonight is Kimberly Corbin. I believe Ms. Corbin is here. Ms. Corbin is the principal at Jurupa Valley High School. She goes above and beyond in all aspects to make Jurupa Valley a better place for students and staff. It is evident in all she does that Ms. Corbin is focused on doing what is right for the students at her school. From building and maintaining instructional and other programs to her constant efforts to build solid relationships with parents and members of the community, her genuine care and concern and her desire to create a positive school environment shine through. Ms. Corbin is a great example of a leader who shows commitment and dedication to our community, and we thank her for all that she does. At At this time, I would like to briefly recognize those employees who were selected for honorable mention. If any of them are here, I would encourage them to please stand at their seat when I call their name. Ruth Campos, Registrar at Jurupa Middle. Raul Merez, General Maintenance Journeyman and Maintenance and Operations. Brandon Marin, Campus Supervisor at Jurupa Valley High School. Anna Martinez, Principal Secretary at Mariloma Middle. Maricela Mendez, Bilingual Language Tutor at Rubidoux High School. Andres Michel, Custodian at Camino Real. Lizbeth Pineda, Secretary at Jurupa Valley High School. Glenn Richardson, Stock Clerk Delivery Driver at Central Stores and Receiving. Sonia San Juan, Computer Support Assistant in Technology. Valeriano Vizcarra Garcia, who's the Head Custodian at Rustic Lane. Chloe Arias, who's a TSA Instructional Coach at Rubidoux High School. Maria Bromley, who's a teacher at Rubidoux High School. Erica Kraus, who's a teacher at Jurupa Middle. Teresa Mendoza, who's a teacher at Patriot High School. Aaron Myers, who is a special education teacher at Troth Street Elementary. Brett Roble, who is a teacher at Rubidoux High School. And Elizabeth Wells, who is a TSA Instructional Coach at Mariloma Middle. Congratulations to all of our staff who are recognized tonight. It's wonderful to work with them. Such a pleasure. And thank you all. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks, and congratulations to all the awardees and recognition tonight. Item 2B, recognize Scott Hill, IECSS Outstanding Educator for 2017. Mr. Dabrowski.
Thank you. Mr. Hill, thank you for standing so we can say nice things about you. The Inland Empire Council for the Social Studies, Riverside County Office of Education, and San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools hosted the 2017 History Social Science Educator of Excellence Awards. This recognition is awarded to someone who inspires students to perform at high levels and show good citizenship, uses creative strategies to fully engage students, demonstrates broad content knowledge, promotes advanced social science thinking, shows leadership beyond school, helping students participate in opportunities such as History Day, Living History, Service Learning, or mock trials, and is a recognized team player. Congratulations to Scott Hill of Jurupa Middle School for being selected as an outstanding educator for 2017.
Mr. Hill, where are you? Did he leave? You're hiding. We have a 37-year-old son who still talks about your class in a positive way. What I remember about you is that you dressed up as a mountain man. Has that changed? Okay. I just want you to know that adage, the last thing we know is our effect.
I also wanted to add something personal. My son was in your class many years ago, and he's now an assistant director of international studies at Fordham University, New York. And I texted him about your recognition tonight, and he said, he's a fantastic social studies teacher. I'm proud of his accomplishment and his recognition. So congratulations for both myself and my son as well, too, for being an awesome teacher.
Well, and since we're sharing personal stuff, I told my 24 and 26-year-old sons, who both were in Mr. Hill's class, that he was getting this award. And they both said, yep, he's a great teacher. He deserves it.
Congratulations again, Mr. Hill. Item 2C, recognize Bilingual Teacher Professional Development Grant. Mr. Dabrowski.
Thank you. San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools submitted a grant proposal to the CDE for a bilingual teacher professional development program. And we recently received news that our RIMS collaborative was awarded the grant in the amount of $625,000. Representatives from all the partners, including Jurupa, gathered and received important information as well as calendar dates for planning and implementation in December. We look forward to increased opportunities for bilingual education in our district.
Thank you, Mr. Dabrowski. Item 2D, recognize receipt of CalPADS 2016-17 Data Management Award. Mrs. Ford.
The district has been recognized by the California Department of Education for its excellence in maintaining high-quality data in CUE, that's the district student information system, as well as CalPADS, which is the California Longitudinal Pupil Achievement Data System. The district has received this recognition for the past 4 years and has an exemplary data submission record. Administration would like to thank Mr. Daniel Whitman and Mrs. Pamela Whitman, which I believe they are here tonight. If they would stand up so we can thank you. They are the district's database analyst, and they have made a commitment to working with all departments to ensure that our data that is submitted is quality data. And I want to thank them again for all their hard work and efforts.
Just a quick comment. I happened just by chance to be on the ThickMap board, which actually grants this award. And there's 20 superintendents on that board, and I am the only one district's ever gotten the award. So you have no idea how proud I am. And it's really a big deal. The board talks about it and just how important it is that districts really put effort into the data integrity and produce great data for the state. So thank you so much. Made me proud once again. I'll be meeting with them next week and can be proud again. So thank you.
Thank you again for all your hard work. Item 2E, recognize receipt of South Coast Air Quality Management District's electric school bus funding program. Mrs. Ford.
Yes, we're excited about this one as well. On December 12, 2017, the South Coast Air Quality Management District notified the district that we have been awarded the electric school bus grant and will receive 2 new electric school buses. Those are full-size school buses in the amount of $516,000. A copy of the grant award is included in the backup materials.
Thank you, Mrs. Ford. Great work. Been looking forward to this for a while, I think. So, thank you. 2F, CS for All Summit Showcase. Mrs. Ford.
Okay, I get to be excited about one more. On November 2nd, 2017, the Inland Code Consortium hosted the second annual Inland Computer Science for All Summit, and Mrs. Veronica Gonzalez, and along with Mr. Ron Kahn, and I believe some of his students, are here this evening to present information on JUSD's participation at the Code Consortium Summit.
Thank you, Paula. Good evening. The second annual CS for All Summit was an event that brought together 19 districts participating in the Inland Code Consortium. The keynote speaker was the founder of Code.org, a nonprofit organization dedicated to exposing all students to computer science through the Hour of Code. Other speakers included representatives from Google, Girls Who Code, local university professors, educators, and students. The summit highlighted the need for promoting computer science to all students as an option for their career path. The summit gathered nearly 300 students to showcase student work and promote computer science education in the inland region. Patriot students, along with Mr. Ron Kahn, represented JUSD's commitment to supporting student learning through various career paths, including computer science.
Thank you for having us. I'm sorry you have gotten me on the night when this flu has just decided it wants to win. Tonight's the night. But we are excited to be here tonight to promote the computer science pathway at Patriot High School. In 2 years, we have gone from no computer science offerings to a complete CTE pathway with an introductory course and 2 AP computer science courses. This would not have been possible without the continuing support of the administration, site administration, both Monty Owen's principal and Erica Pham when she was our assistant principal last year. Side note, terrific, terrific person. We must also recognize the tech department led by Josh Lewis and especially Veronica Gonzalez for their willingness to make this program a go and their ongoing support. Finally, without the help and the continuing support of Roberta Pace, Director, College and Career Readiness, we would be at a loss for the resources required by the pathway. In our first year of computer science, we had a pass rate of 89% on the AP exam, far above the national average for this test. We have expanded the AP Computer Science program from a single section to the current 3 sections. In our first year, we had 1 girl out of 25 students. I am proud, and I mean proud, to advise that this year we have expanded through aggressive recruiting to 16 girls enrolled and 60 total students. In November, the advanced coding class attended the Inland Technology Consortium, which provided the students the opportunity to interact with their peers from other schools and industry representatives from the technology community. Our class rocked the hall. We had the best project, waving our flag deservedly. What they did was they recreated a game that Apple used to include on their Apple IIs. Those of you that are old enough to remember those. Some of us remember the IBM 360s with the cards. But they took that game and they completely updated it in the language that we're learning, which is Java. They did it by working together, and they'll tell you a little bit more about that as we get going. I was proudest of the way they took questions from students and administrators and technology industry reps and explained what they did every step of the way. I have here with me many of the participating students. I appreciate the opportunity to recognize these students for their hard work and overwhelming contribution to a shared classroom environment where all students are teachers. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Karen Gonzalez, and I'm a senior at Patriot High School. I wanted to begin by saying thank you to the board for giving us this opportunity to participate in the Computer Science for All Summit, and for allowing our opportunity to come to the board and allowing us to speak on our project and our experience. For many of us, it was a struggle. A lot of us didn't know the language that we were beginning to learn in this class. Especially for me as a beginner, it was difficult, but through our experience while working together to create this project, we learned from each other, and we were able to come together and make this project amazing. And we were so proud to share our project to everyone who went to the summit, to the convention, to see all the projects that were made by students just beginning. It was a proud moment for us, seeing that so many people were so intrigued at what we've done, what we've taken apart from the original game and created it as a new version. And so once again, I want to say thank you, and this was a great opportunity for our class.
Good evening to the board. I'm Christian Aguilar. I'm a junior in Mr. Khan's Computer Science, AP Computer Science A class. I'd just like to say thank you for the opportunities with resources and otherwise that the district has provided for allowing us to take advantage of these new technologies, to help learn how to use them, and to prepare us for careers in the future of technology. I think what struck me most about the class is how much we work together. Most of us start from a very small level of experience, and so we're all learning together. We're all helping each other, and whenever we have a roadblock or any sort of challenge, we all have to help each other to work on this final goal. This particular project, this game, this lemonade stand game, it was a lemonade stand simulator, involved using lots of concepts that are very important in the field. And using those and using actual tools used in the industry, we managed to collaborate as a class on this individual project. And I'd like to say I'm proud to be a part of these students. And once again, I'd like to thank the district for giving us all that they have for this new program. And I hope to see it expand in the future. Thank you.
That's our presentation. Thank you for having us, and we look forward to building the program even more next year.
And while you're taking the picture, while you were talking, I Googled an article I'd seen about the top jobs. Do you know the #1 job above all jobs for people to go into now, according to U.S. News and World Reports, is software developer? So keep going, guys.
Yes, thank you all. Mr. Khan, Ms. Gonzalez, thank you very much. just want to thank you guys. I had an opportunity, the pleasure to meet the president of the Code.org back in December, and she was very inspiring. And I'm glad to see that our students here in the district are headed in that direction.
And I think Mrs. Ford has
And,
something.
and before you leave, I was at the Codes Consortium, the Computer Science for All Summit, and I do remember Lemonade Stand. And what you did was even better. So great job.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to ask the board if they wouldn't mind if we moved board member comments to be after public verbal comments. Okay. All right. So on to public verbal comments. The first card I have here is Mr. Paul Swan Van Lint.
Hello again. I just want to say, first of all, how obvious it is what a great job this district and its employees are doing and what wonderful things are happening throughout our district. And I'm really proud of the job that we are doing with our students. And thank you. During this school year, I have repeatedly asserted that if district administrators and NEA Jurupa members were to work together collaboratively to make decisions throughout the district's educational decision-making processes, that we would together provide the best possible quality academic, social, emotional, and character-building environments and education for each and every one of Jurupa Unified School District's students. I am appreciative of and encouraged by an increase in the number and quality of conversations I have been having with district administrators that do seem to be moving toward more collaborative territory. The potential for teachers gaining a greater amount of genuine input and collaboration in what happens in classrooms seems to be on the horizon. And I hope that we continue to move successfully toward realizing this vision together for the benefits of students and staff. To clarify our members' reality on the ground, which led our association to adopt the mission of increasing genuine collaboration in educational decision-making, I here continue to share manageable amounts of results from NEA Jurupa's Reality on the Ground survey from last October, which was a follow-up to last year's workload survey, of which you received a copy. Here is a copy. This is a copy of the first report on October survey, NEA Jurupa's October 2017 Reality on the Ground Working Conditions Survey Report on workload, units of study, and teachers' professional discretion. For brevity's sake, I will focus on just a very few key findings from the numerical data gained from the survey. Regarding workload, most NEA Jurupa members feel that their time is being micromanaged, over-controlled, and that there are unreasonable workload expectations by district administration. 8 out of 10 members agree that they feel out of control of much of the work they have to do. 87% of members agree that the district has been adding things to their must-do list without taking enough off. 79% agree that they spend too much time doing tasks that they did not choose for themselves. More than 3 out of 4 teachers agree that the district controls too much of what they do in the classroom. Regarding teachers' professional discretion, NEA Jurupa teachers believe that being allowed to exercise greater control in decision-making regarding their workload would lead to better teaching and learning. More than 9 out of 10 members agree that workload that they choose for themselves has a positive influence on doing their best as a teacher. 92% of teachers agree with the statement that if they had more choices about how they spent their time in their classrooms, they believe their students would learn more effectively. The 247 written responses to the survey's request that our members please share specific ways that you could manage your workload compared with the workload the district requires of you do a much better job than the numbers do at explaining how our members, if given the opportunity, believe they can do better. I don't have time to read them tonight, but based on my analysis of the 247 responses to this particular question, I believe they make 6 major points. 1, our members could use their time much more efficiently and effectively. 2, they could make more efficient and effective use of students' time. 3, they could make more efficient and effective use of collaboration time. 4, the district sometimes requires more than is reasonable. 5, members need greater ability to exercise professional autonomy and discretion in order to serve students most effectively. Number 6, special education members believe that the legally mandated documentation required of them constitutes an unreasonable and inequitable workload. NEA Jurupa members believe that increasing our members' genuine collaboration in our district's educational decision-making processes will empower us to increase the level of quality and effectiveness with which we help every Jurupa student reach their highest potential for achievement and excellence in academics, social-emotional development, and character. I look forward to us working together to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Swan Van Lent. Next, I have Mr. Jim Smith. Smythe? Okay, sorry about that.
Good evening, board members. My name is Jim Smythe, and I teach at Camino Real, and this is my 39th year in teaching. Tonight, I wish to speak directly to you, the school board, not primarily as a teacher, but as a taxpayer and a voter in the city of Jurupa Valley. Some of you will be knocking on my door this year, asking for my vote, others in years to come. I may very well support some of you. However, I do have expectations of you that I will carefully consider before voting. My first expectation is access to you, to discuss problems, thoughts, and opinions. My second expectation is evidence that you, on your own, have sought out details and relative information on items that you have been asked to consider and perhaps vote on. That you have not simply relied on the information provided to you by the district. That you have taken the time to seek out other viewpoints and maybe even shown independent thought and actions. I have watched for years the primary means of communication that you, as the governing board, offers to this community. That being the vehicle by which I speak tonight, directly to you at a board meeting, with little to no chance of a reply from anyone on this board. However, it would appear that you utilize this particular option for voter interaction, knowing that most voters will never attend a lengthy public evening meeting and come to the podium and speak to the board in a room filled with people, the press, and even armed, uniformed police officers. All with the fear in the back of your mind that you just might not be able to articulate your thoughts quick enough before you're interrupted and told that your time is up and to return to your place in the audience. If this board truly wants to hear the concerns of the voters, you would do better than this. You would find supportive, comfortable ways to listen to the voters and have the ability to respond to their concerns. This is my first expectation of all of you. This is the first action that would positively show that this board can be responsive and wants to do better. I think it's time that we stop spending valuable educational dollars on consultants who will shape the public opinion of Jurupa Unified School District and start being concerned, really concerned, about the reality that is JUSD. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smythe. Thank you. And next we have Miss Annette Dumont. Hope I pronounced that right. Okay.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Annette Dumont, and I am your Community Outreach Ambassador from the Riverside County Office of Education. We are a new group. Dr. White, Judy White, has put us together. There's 8 of us in order to come out to the different areas of all of Riverside County, from Corona all the way out to Coachella Valley. So you're going to be seeing us coming around and talking to you and trying to get into your world and meet you. My job is to reach out and talk to as many administrators, educators, board members, that type of thing as I possibly can in order to get to know you. I am a lifetime member of Riverside County. I went to Arima, Arizona, La Sierra, RCC, graduated from Cal State San Bernardino with a bachelor's degree in career and tech education, which I teach now at Riverside Community College. So I do that as an adjunct teacher, and in the rest of my time I'm going to be coming out and talking to board members and different groups. My particular assignment is Jurupa Valley, Jurupa Unified School District, Alvord Unified School District, and all the elementary schools of Riverside. So I hope to see you more. I hope you'll reach out to me. I did give the members of the board my business card. I actually brought the 2017 report to the community from the Riverside County Office of Education. If you have not received one of these and would like to have one, please let me know. I brought quite a few of them. I didn't realize that the board members had already been given one. So that's great. I hope you took time to look over it and see what we've been doing in the past and what we intend to do in the future. One of the things that we will do, just to go real quickly, and I'll be back to talk more about it when it's solidified, is more of Adopt a School. Trying to get businesses, people like the Rotary clubs and faith-based institutions to adopt all the schools in Riverside County. So that's 417 that we're trying to find people to adopt, help, care about students, come and be involved with the schools individually. And hopefully we're going to get the businesses and the groups that are closest to the schools to adopt them so that they have a group that intertwines with the students, the parents, the administrators, and the educators. I'd like to thank you so much for your time. And if you do have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Call me. I'll be here for you because that's my job. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Annette. Okay, last card I have here is Mr. Douglas Alberta and Mr. John Grisby.
Good evening, board members and all in attendance. We're here tonight because over the last 17 years we've had a food fest in our district, and the Rotary and the Lions Club teamed up in 2000, and since then we've put on 17 food fests, and the money we raised we're here tonight to give out to the high school volunteers who help put on this yearly function. Without their assistance, I don't think the Rotary nor the Lions Club could do it. The day of the function, we have at least 6 or 8 different volunteer groups from the high schools come and help us. And so we're very pleased tonight to give them a small token to put into their school or into their funds and use how they'd like to have it. The members that are receiving those tonight, the volunteer members, are the Air Force ROTC. I'd like to call them all and then they can come up if it would be possible to do that. And they also have the Color Guard. We also have Mr. Kantner, and he likes to give to the FFA at both Jurupa Valley High School and Rubidoux High School. We also have a Leo's and a We Club from Jurupa Valley High School. We also have an Interact, which is the Rotary Club from Jurupa Valley High School. We have a Spanish club. We also have a choir from the Patriot High School, and the Patriot High School track team sells tickets for us. So some 400 to 500 people attend this food fest every year. And the money we raise from that, we give some to the volunteers, and then the individual clubs turn around and give out many scholarships. The Lions give out $300, $500 scholarships at each of the high schools, and the Rotary, I think, give out $1,000 scholarship at each of the high schools. So I'd like to thank all the Rotarians and all of the Lions Club members that have attended tonight, and I'd like to call out a couple names because I know Mr. Grisby was president of the Rotary last year, but this year Philip Bartlow is the president. This year Hank Treva is the Lions Club president. Even one of your board members have been a president of the Lions Club, Mr. Robert Garcia. And I don't know if Mr. Grisby wants to say a few words or not.
Well, I'd just like to reiterate and thank everybody that comes out and works. They work really hard. They really, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have this, because we're getting old and they have the youth and they're able to do the things that we can't do. And I know Karen was a member of Rotary, and she was a Rotary president, so she's been involved in this as well. I mean, we have a lot of members. We expect a lot from our members, and they always pull through. Elliot's helped us in the past. He helps us every year. So, you know, this is really a great event. We really do appreciate all the help we get, and we really like to give back to the clubs that send their kids and their sponsors, and they come out. And like I said, we couldn't do it without them.
So at this time, we'd like those groups to come on up front here to receive their checks. And then this is the Interact Club over here. And over here we have some of the We and Leo clubs. And who are these over here? FFA. Very good. Okay, very good.
All right.
Please keep the last Saturday in September on your calendars. Okay, that's when we have Food Fest. I think we've only had it one other time on a different date, and that's because something was on the
Patriot Track. The Rubidoux Junior Air Force, ROTC.
Rubidoux FFA. Nobody from there tonight?
Jurupa Valley. Thank you. So with that, thank you very much. Like I said, we really appreciate all your help. And we hope to keep it up. Do it again.
We'd like to encourage them to apply for some of our scholarships and also to take part in some of the other activities. Like, I know that we sponsor them for a speech contest, or sometimes the Rotary does something with their money for school attendance.
Thank you, Doug and John. And I think
Thank
we don't
you.
have any other public speakers. I'd like to go ahead and move into board member comments. Sylvia, would you go ahead and start?
I was going to come up and do a very negative presentation,
about the passing of Chris and the fact that more administrators didn't show up. But I do want to acknowledge the ones that did. I saw Trent there. I saw Dana there. I saw Maureen Dalmont there. I saw quite a few people there. But I decided to honor Chris. I wanted to let you know a little bit about Chris. He wasn't just a district employee. He was a diamond in the rough. He was a man that if he had $2 in his pocket and you needed one, he was going to give you the two because he wanted to make sure you had what you needed. He would take the shirt off his back for anybody, and he was very much honored by his classified brothers and sisters. We were there by the dozens. This was a man that if you were having a bad day, all you needed to do was spend a minute with him, and he was going to make your smile come out. He was going to make that day that was rough for you to get through that much easier to make it through there. I am very happy that he didn't pass with any pain. He was a man that I had saw 3 weeks prior to his passing. I was having surgery and he was there arguing with administration there about his mom, who he said he was responsible for and taking care of. He loved his mom. You could tell by the anger that he showed that she was shown disrespect. To say that Chris will be missed is putting it very mildly. He was an awesome person. He was a big man, but his heart was bigger. He was a giver. He was a laughter. He was the person you wanted to be by your side, to have your back. And I, for one, am pleased that now our classified brothers and sisters have an angel in heaven looking out for us, because he took time out of his day, it didn't matter how busy he was, to give you thanks for something he thought you had done for him. Even though you didn't think you did much, he gave you the thanks, and he recognized you where others might not. So I wanted to say that the loss that we feel is great. Rest in peace, brother.
Thank you, Sylvia. Anyone else? Any other public comments? Okay, Ms. Ortega, can you start us out with board member comments, please?
Yes, thank you. I wanted to thank everyone and congratulations to all the recognized this evening. I'm just so humbled to be a product of this district and to see how much we put effort into the community, into every little single thing that we can do to progress and keep going, we do. And yes, being up here is pretty difficult to make those choices that we have to make. But in the end of the day, we know why we do it. And I have a confession to make. I'm very passionate and committed to see these children grow up to be successful and to be leaders. Thank you, board student. There's only one of you left, but I know you being here on a school day and you have to go home and probably do some homework. That's a sacrifice, and I and my colleagues appreciate that from the bottom of our hearts. And I will say that I'm gonna be committed to your success 100%, 110% at times, even though I'm tired, even though there's personal things that I have to go through in my life. I'm committed to see you and the other students that were here successful, from the little ones singing, touching our hearts, to you older ones that are leading and taking that pledge to be a representation of your entire schools means a lot. And I just want to also thank my Lions Club family for being out here too. I've seen with my own eyes the sacrifices that they also have to make, leave their family time on side to be committed to our community. I've seen our superintendent, I've seen Paula, in these events and the food fest, and just, you know, taking off our professional hats on and just being part of the community, to grow with the community and to love one another. That's just amazing, and I'm just so fortunate to be a part of this Jurupa Unified School District family as well. So thank you everyone this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Ortega. Mr. Mendez.
Thank you. I too would like to commend our student board member representatives. I attended their training session at the very beginning of the year. Seems like it's been a long time ago because a lot of things have happened since then. But you guys do an awesome job in bringing us up to date on the happenings at your schools. And I see a very bright future for all three of you to really be somebody that goes out there and makes a difference in this world. So keep up the good work. I also would like to commend all the staff that was recognized at the best of the best. Those of us that serve on that committee, myself, Mr. Brooks, and Ms. Diana Strona, we find that sometimes the choices aren't easy because, you know, we have so many wonderful things, so many wonderful people out there doing wonderful things. But you guys are amazing to work with, and I really enjoy, you know, having the interaction and discussion and the commitment to really select individuals, you know, that are very unique and contribute so much to our district in so many ways. I like the recognition part also because it showcases an awful lot of different things from for our district, such as a CalPADS recognition, you know, for you know, groups and organizations outside the county. The students in the CalPADS that was mentioned earlier, I think we've gotten that recognition before. I know that has been recognized in the past. It's been the same recognition 4 years in a row, probably. That is an amazing record. That speaks so highly of the staff that day in and day out makes this happen. So keep up the good work, and please express our appreciation to the entire staff that's involved in doing this. One of the things, I just wanted a moment to go back and talk about the best of the best. One of the things that we discussed, we just kind of mentioned at our last meeting, is that it's really nice to see submissions for that honor and that recognition come from you know, classified certificated staff, but also from individuals that have been here a long time, where sometimes we tend to forget, you know, that they do so many wonderful things because we take it for granted. They've done it, you know, for many years. But we also recognize that give submissions are fairly new employees, and so it's nice to hear, to see the range to be able to recognize from across the spectrum in that regard. So thank you for all those things, and keep up the good work out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mendez. Mrs. Bradford.
I read the minutes from previously and saw that it seems like every time I say I'm recorded, I'm so proud of this district. I'm so proud of this district. And when you talk, it's like, oh, I meant to say that too. But my own notes are, I cry every time I listen to the students at PAM and the high schoolers. I also want to say that it was one of the other students who talked about the blood drive at school. But do you have it at Rubidoux also? Okay, but I know I'm a donor at Livestream. They say they could not run without the high school participation. And again, I want you to know what a difference you make literally in saving lives. I'm proud of the welcome that you give to the students that are coming on campus. And there was something else when the CS for All were still in the room. It reminded me of how important it is to learn how to deconstruct what is present. And it reminded me of a quote that said, and this was from somebody at Cal State San Bernardino, that the illiterate of the future are not the people who cannot read, but those who cannot learn. And that as high school students, you will be required to learn, unlearn, and relearn at a pace that is unseen to any of us because of the rate of information doubling. And I'm glad it's you and not me. So that's about it. And again, I'm so proud of this district, and thank you for letting me be a part.
Thank you, Mrs. Bradford. Mrs. Chard.
I'll make mine short because they've already pretty much said what I agree upon. And congratulate all of our award winners tonight, all of our grants that we receive. As Mrs. Bradford said, I am very proud of this district too. I'm proud of the teachers, I'm proud of the students, the staff, the way we do things. Some people may not agree with everything that we do, and we may not agree, but we are working for the kids, trying to make things better all the way across the board. Just as we are showing the volunteers, we have student volunteers. That is a great number, and that's only probably a portion of them, because I've seen them at work at the Food Fest, and they're just amazing. They can put it up and down in no time, and those kids really do want to volunteer and help out. And so does our staff. We have a lot of volunteers that put time in, extra time in, even though their schedules may be tight, they still put the time in to help get things done in our district. So I do want to say something about the booklet that Mrs. Annette DeMont was talking about. I looked over mine, and it's really a great book put out by Riverside County Office of Education. It tells about all the districts in Riverside County, all the schools. It talks a little bit about the schools, how many we have, how many students. It's a great analysis of what our Riverside County is made up of, and you would be surprised to see how many students, how many districts we have, the projects that they're working on, and the ideas that the schools, they're focusing on what their focus for the future is, and it's amazing. You know, we're all on the same page, but we all have a different angle, and I think it's just great. So if you get an opportunity to get one of those books, please do read over it. It is interesting. And I think that's all I have. Okay.
Thank you, Mrs. Chard, and I'd like to reiterate everything my colleagues have said up here. I think, most importantly, I think, and I feel that the five of us up here, we truly serve with unity and purpose, and really have the best interest of our students in mind, and then sometimes we have to make tough decisions, and sometimes we just have to, and I think we, as long as we remain, keep that in mind, I think we'll be okay. So, a couple things that I wanted to mention. I was able to visit JVHS for the JAG Expo this past Thursday. Thank you, Mrs. Corbin. And it was such a great experience to get to see all the parents that were there and all the programs that were represented. You know, I talked to anyone from the football coach to the FFA, talked to the JAG water polo coach. I'd never been to a water polo game, and so they invited me the next day, and it was a Friday. I figured might as well take off early from work and do something meaningful. So I got to see my first water polo game, and it was very, very fun, tiring just to watch, but girls are amazing. And as I was walking out in the gym, there was a basketball game going on. So it was Jurupa Valley High School and Patriots. So I killed two birds with one stone there, and got to watch a couple of girls basketball teams, and got to visit with a good friend of mine, Coach Hill from Patriot. So that was really, really great stuff. And you know, Mrs. Corbin, keep up the great work out there. I really like the culture out at Jurupa Valley. And Patriot, Rubidoux, we're just they're all different. They're all great. So anytime I go to either one of those, I try to brag on it. So CS for All, I think is really, really awesome. It seems like only yesterday we approved the curriculum for AP Science, AP Computer Science, and here we are. We're seeing it grow. So that was really great too. Thank you to the Lions Club and the Rotary for their participation in this community. And I see Mr. Ross Leach is still here. It's my Diane. You know, we really do depend on those students to do. Betty's still here too. We really do depend on those students because they do a lot of the work and a lot of the heavy lifting, and so it's important that we recognize them and offer some donations to their causes. And then, as they mentioned, we give scholarships at the end of the year with that money. So looking forward to year number 18 next year, or maybe it's 19, I forget. And I think that's about all I have for now. I think the Innovation Center, one last thing. We also got to go to the Innovation Center back in December, and we saw it again last week. It's an amazing program. If you have an opportunity to get out there and look at it, and you can see that pathway over at Jurupa Valley. So I think we all got to go experience that back in December, and so looking forward to the future there. Thank you. And now we'll continue on, if I can find my place here. Item number 5, administrative reports and written communications. 5A, school facilities program report. Dr. Hanson.
So I'd like to give you a short presentation on an update on where we're at with the school facilities and primarily focus on some of the things that were accomplished over the Christmas break. Some of the projects that are still in process or under construction: Del Sol Academy, Ina Arbuckle modernization, Mission Bell modernization. Both Phase 1 and Phase 2 are underway. Jurupa Valley High School Innovation Center Phase 2 commenced in December, right after Christmas. Rubidoux High School modernization continues to be under construction. Some of the upcoming projects that we're preparing for is Glen Avon Elementary modernization and West Riverside a little bit farther in the out years, looking at a 2019 start date then. Some of the two schools that are still in the design phase and will be phased in later on in the program is Jurupa Middle School, which is probably a 2020 start date, and Troth Street, depending on what state dollars look like in the future. So a couple pictures here to update Del Sol Academy. I know many of you have been out in the area and have probably passed by the school, so it's coming along quickly. They're almost exclusively inside now with working on the interior, and that school is projected to be finished within 5 months. Here's an outlook on the Measure EE dollars and the first two issuances that we've had. We issued about $94 million and spent about $51.5 million. 37 million more is encumbered with the current projects, meaning that they're under contract for the projects to finish, and then total committed is $88.5 million. There's about a balance of $6 million with those two issuances, and we anticipate another issuance within the next 12 to 18 months. Ina Arbuckle, 2 of the classroom wings were completed over winter recess. What is now the new office, or the current office, is being renovated into a library, and so the office staff was moved into one of those new classrooms, one of the kindergarten wings, as an interim office until they're able to move into their new facility. The current office is under construction, the new office is under construction, and should be finished towards the end of March. Mission Bell modernization Phase 1, which included a new office and MPR. The new office was complete over Christmas break, and they have moved in, and I believe furniture was installed over the weekend. So the Mission Bell office is up and running. MPR is a little bit farther behind, and Phase 2 of that project has started. So they're starting to demo out 2 of the classroom wings. So these are some pictures here of them completely demoing out the classroom spaces. And the goal is to finish this entire school by the end of the summer, as well as Ina Arbuckle. Jurupa Valley Innovation Center project Phase 1 was complete, or is completed, and we had an open house, as you all know. You were all in attendance, so you were able to see firsthand the facility and interact with the students and the equipment. And so now we've started Phase 2, which is demoing the other portion of the C wing, and to start the renovations for the BITA program and a couple of classrooms and computer labs there. Rubidoux High School continues moving along. wings 100, 200, 300, 400, 5, and 600, I believe, have been skinned, and they're now working in the 1,000 wing. That wing, as well as the 1,200 wing, is also modernization on the interior, the inside the classroom. So those two classroom wings are a little bit more intense because it's not only the exterior but also the interior as well. So I'd really like to highlight some of the work that's been done with our maintenance and operations staff. They, as always, are very busy in the background trying to maintain our schools and keep them safe and keep them moving forward. So as you all know, single point of entry is a high priority in the district, and so they've worked on some of the fencing in some of the schools that still had a few points of penetration, and so they were able to close those off and create some gates so that we can have single point entry at those schools. So shown here is Rubidoux High School, Stone Avenue Elementary, and Granite Hill, their main gate, to be able to allow people to come into camp or force them through the front office. Done a lot of landscaping throughout the district. This is some pictures of the median in front of Jurupa Valley High School, hydroseeding the field at Stone Avenue, as well as some drainage mitigation that took place at Stone Avenue to help those fields drain appropriately. Some of the other projects we have are playground matting at West Riverside, some ADA upgrades that had to be made at Rustic Lane, carpet installation at Jurupa Valley High School. Patriot High School, we also pulled out some of the shrubs and created a walking path there to help with the safety drop-off areas. There was a lot of traffic crossing over where students were coming into the campus, and when we did a feasibility study, or the city, I should say, did a feasibility study on putting in a light or some sort of yield sign, it didn't suffice for the data wasn't sufficient to support that, so we put our own mitigations in place to try and help solve that issue. Roof replacement at Mission Middle School, obviously with the rain, there's a lot of leaking going on, and so we're trying to stay on top of that and replace the rooftops. Some other projects, the teacher lounge at Pacific Avenue Academy of Music was recarpeted. There's exterior lighting was installed in the concrete sidewalk in the back lot to try and eliminate walking through puddles. Hydration stations, which are essentially water fountains that you can fill up water bottles at, were installed at various locations in partnership with Mr. Campos, some of the grants that he's been able to obtain. Peralta shade structure is under construction right now. That's going to be a small shade structure being erected outside of the MPR to help with some of the congestion at lunchtime, so the students have a place to eat outside. Jurupa Valley High School greenhouse preparation is taking place right now to finish that greenhouse. I know the materials have been ordered, and we're in the process of securing a contractor to finish that greenhouse off. Jurupa Middle School portable relocation. So that was one of our sites that had an issue with security, and so over the break we were able to relocate portable that sat in the front of Jurupa Middle School without any fencing around it, and move it to the back of the campus and secure it with the campus. And then Mission Bell portable relocation was also completed over the Christmas break. So as you can see, our maintenance and operations staff are very diligent and working hard to ensure that our facilities are in adequate shape for our students. And I know a lot of it's in the background, and they're not out in the open all the time, but there's a lot of work taking place. And I want to thank Dana and his staff for all their hard work. Our classified staff are just tremendous at working in the background and just making sure that things get done. This is some data showing the completed work orders over this first semester in the variety of different areas. And then finally, Glen Avon, some of the out projects. Glen Avon, we're in the process. We're getting ready to bid this project. We're waiting on DSA approval still. We're waiting on some results for water pressure results for that school, but that's right around the corner. We're hoping to bid this out this spring and start this summer on this project. And then West Riverside's a little bit farther out. We're looking at a 2019 start date, either in the winter of 2019 or the summer of 2019, depending on where the dollars fall. And that's my report.
So Dr. Hanson, for West Riverside was, you said winter of 2019?
Right now,
summer? or 2019?
Yeah, exactly. Depending on, it all depends on how the dollars. So as we start to close out some of these projects, and we see where we come in on the budget. Obviously right now they're tracking under budget, but we still have a few months to go on some of those projects. So depending on where those dollars come in at the end of those projects will allow us to either start sooner than later.
Thank you. Thank you to you and your team. Dana, thanks everyone for this detailed report, and look forward to all the new projects. Okay. 5B, report on the language census report, R30. Mr. Dabrowski.
Thank you. Tonight, Martha Gomez, our outstanding Director of Language Services and Student Programs, is going to present a report to you on the language census, or also known as the R30, which will include the number of students who are English language learners in the various languages spoken in our district.
Good evening, everybody. So I'm here to talk to you about the R30, which tells you information about our students and our staff. And one reason is to keep you informed of the students that we have, and also because Ed Code says that we must report to you on a yearly basis. And it's federal law that we follow up on our numbers and the services that we give to our students. We erased that, so we collected for students and staff. We have 5,960 students that are ELs, and the information was taken as of October 2nd, so numbers could be different today, but that's as of October 2nd. We have 4,704 students who were either initially fluent English proficient but also speak another language, or who would reclassify. So altogether, we have about half of our district of our students who are bilingual or underway to being bilingual. And then we have 22 languages in our district. Of course, Spanish is about 98% that is spoken, but we have 21 other languages. And last year, we reclassified 722 students. The programs that are required by the law, it's structured English immersion, English language mainstream, and alternative course of study. And we, of course, offer all three. And under alternative course of study is where they learn academics in another language, and they're learning the other language, which is in dual immersion, and we have 869 students right now. We have paraprofessionals that work with English learners. We have 78 of them. And we have 845 teachers who work with English learners. And that's it, unless you have any questions. Yes.
I have a question. I was astounded to see how many speakers of Portuguese we have in the district. I would not have guessed that. But I was also surprised after going to the Sikh temple community breakfast to see only one child who speaks Punjabi. I thought, there've got to be more residents. So it made me wonder, how was this collected, and how did they identify as whether, I think about my grandparents, they never would have admitted to speaking Swedish at home because they didn't, they wanted to learn English. So they never would have said, we're not native English speakers. So how do we know our results?
When parents register their students, they have to complete what we call the home language survey, and that identifies what other languages they speak at home, and then that's what triggers assessment, which says whether they're English learners or if they're English proficient. So you're right, some families do not say that they speak another language, so this is what is recorded. But we base it all on what parents give us as information.
So it sounds like parents will feel encouraged to be truthful, because then that means they can receive services that are advantageous to their students succeeding.
Correct. If we explain to them what the benefits are, then usually they're pretty truthful.
I would think so. Yes. I was interested, though, under there was something that another language wasn't identified from the array that you gave, so I wondered if we have Albanians, speakers of Albanian, what is not listed on here?
You know what, I don't
I was-
remember seeing that as one of the languages, but I can send
It's right there.
all the languages that
Okay.
that we have.
I was curious, I didn't see any African languages represented, and I thought, do we have any Ethiopian students?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
We have, I believe, of course, Spanish is the largest number,
Uh-huh.
and then Vietnamese, I believe, is the second, and then Punjabi, but I don't.
There's
I don't
only
wanna-
one speaker of well,
No, not in the district. We have more than one.
oh, okay. I was looking on here, but it was the Portuguese that really stood out. I think there were 7 who were identified. I would not have guessed that. Okay.
Yes.
It was
I haven't made
fascinating,
the
thank you.
list.
Okay. I really like seeing that we have this kind of richness.
Yes,
to,
we are very rich in that one.
Thank you.
And I just had a comment to share with you all during the break. Two of my nephews are in kinder and they're in dual immersion. So they gifted us with counting all the way up to 100 in Spanish during the break, and it just literally melted our hearts. And they kept on, and they'd come home and sing all these songs, and Cielito Lindo, which is one of my favorite songs because it talks about how in love the person is with someone who has a mole on their left cheek. So I have a mole on my left, and they sing it to me all the time. So I have a living example and proof of what a benefit is to learn 2 languages or even more. So thank you so much for all that you guys do. Thank you.
So before you sit down, Ms. Gomez, 2 informal statistics I might offer. I kind of poll the top 10 students every year, and usually a third to a half were English language learners. And I've lived in this community now for 39 years, and I think I can say with near certainty, I have never met a graduate from this district that couldn't speak English well. So somewhere, aside from all reports, aside from all statistics, our children are learning what we expect them to learn.
They are.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, if I might. One of the programs that you mentioned was the dual immersion program, which has been in existence in our district for a few years now. And I'd like to relate it back to our recognition that we had earlier on the agenda here this evening on the board agenda. Back in December, I was invited by the Fresno County Office of Education because they were sponsoring a symposium for districts that were in the process of developing dual immersion programs or wanted to improve their dual immersion programs in their districts. And so I was honored with being asked to represent what we have done in our district. And you gave me some very good information that I shared with them. And I just wanted to thank you and to let you know that we're now well known also in the Fresno area for our programs here in the district. So thanks to you and the staff for making them the quality that they are and the success that you've had with them and the manner in which you went about getting that accomplished, because that's some of the information that I shared with them to help them as they progress on their journey to going where we have been already. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gomez, for the detailed report, and thanks for all your efforts. Thank you. Okay. 5C, accept initial bargaining proposal from NEA Jurupa. Mrs. Elzig.
Thank you. The district is in receipt of the initial contract reopener proposal from NEA Jurupa for the 2018-19 school year. It's recommended that the board receive the proposal and withhold comment at this time. The proposal will be publicized at this time to permit public comments in the verbal hearing session at the next regular board meeting on February 5th, 2018. And there is a copy of the proposal in the supporting documents.
Thank you, Mrs. Elzig. 5B, announce initial, is that the same one? No, it's a different one. Announce the initial district proposal for negotiations with NEA Jurupa. Mrs. Elzig.
And the board will have reviewed in closed session the district's preliminary proposal for reopener negotiations with NEA Jurupa. If the board is prepared, this proposal will be publicized at this time. to permit public comments at the verbal hearing session on February 5th, 2018. A copy of the proposal is included in the backup materials.
Thank you, Mrs. Elsig.
Thank you.
And the last item, 5E, other administrative reports and written communications. Mr. Dushan.
Several.
Okay? All right. Okay, we're about to move on to the action session. If I'd like to ask the board to please refresh your iPads so that we can vote. Okay, we're all set. Okay, item A, approve, adopt routine action items by consent.
Move for approval.
Motion by Mr. Mendez,
Second.
second by Mrs. Chard. Questions, comments, concerns? Okay, we'll call for the vote, please. Motion passes 5-0. Item B, accept 2016-2017 audit report. Mrs. Ford.
Thank you. On or around this time each year, administration brings the district's audit report to the board for acceptance. Mrs. Seen from Nigro, the district's external audit firm, is here this evening to present a summary of the 2016-2017 audit.
All right, good evening, board and everyone. Like she said, my name is CJ Gounder Singh, and I'm a partner at Nigro, and I'm here to present the 2016-17 audit highlights for you guys. I would like to start with just saying that the objective of an audit is to express an independent opinion on the financial statements of the district, and it's also to determine compliance with applicable laws and regulations. So part of the, I'm not sure if you guys have the audit report in front of you, but what I was going to do is just go over the major sections in the audit report and highlight the key information in there. So starting with the independent auditor's report, which is on page 1, and this is where we state our opinion on the financial statements. And our opinion for Jurupa Unified is an unmodified opinion, which is also a clean opinion. This is the best opinion you can get, so congratulations, everyone. So the next section is the management's discussion and analysis section, also called the MD&A section, which starts on page 3 of the report. This section is actually the management's responsibility to provide us with certain items that are required by GASB. So GASB does call for certain elements that need to be in the MD&A, and so that's shown in the audit report. Most of the key components are basically a lot of comparisons to prior year, how the district did as opposed to what it was doing in the prior fiscal year. So you'll find the information in this section. The next major section is where we get into the financial statements, and this is the
beginning of the statement is the government-wide financial statements. So this statement is on a full accrual basis of accounting. So we do some adjustments to make it a full accrual accounting instead of the modified accrual basis. So you'll see that the statement of net position is in this section, the statement of activities, which includes items like capital assets, long-term debt, depreciation expense, and such. The other section that starts on page 15 of the report is the fund financial statement. So this is where the fund accounting comes into place, and we show the major programs per fund in this section. And we also show the proprietary funds. If it's applicable, it'll be in here. Let's see. There's also a section that reconciles between the two statements, where the government-wide statement and the fund accounting is reconciled, and we also show why there are differences between those statements, and you'll be able to go to that reconciliation page to see the differences. The other important information is the notes to the financial statements, and the notes start on page 24. The notes basically describe in more detail the numbers that are reported on the financial statements. So some of the notes are really important and really points out more detail on some of the numbers that was reported. The other information is also required by GASB. There are some supplementary information that's a separate section in the audit report, and it includes information such as budgetary comparison schedules. It includes a lot of information on the pension, GASB 68 informations. And then there is a really good schedule that I like, is on page 67, and it's called a trend schedule. And basically that shows, the district's reserve levels. It shows year-to-year comparison for a 3-year period. So you can see, what changes have been made over time. And then we have to also provide some other reports, which is in the back of the audit report starting on page 71. These reports are required because we do a government auditing as per government auditing standards. So because we do audits based on federal compliance, we do the uniform guidance compliance audit, and we also do the K-12 state audit guide, state compliance audit. So we have to provide our opinion on those as well. So there were, according to, this report is going to tell, if we found any material weaknesses, and we did not find any material weaknesses. So both reports, all three of them, say that there are no material weaknesses found. Then the last section is the audit findings and question cost, which is on page 77, going up to page 80. This section is talking about any findings that we would like to bring to the board's attention. The financial statement, there's 3 sections. So there's financial statement findings, which there were none. And then there's federal award findings, which is based on the federal compliance. There was none. Then the third section is the state award findings, state compliance items, and there was 1 finding for that. And then lastly, there's a schedule of prior year findings. So if there were any findings last year, we want to make sure that those were implemented. And so there was 1 finding which was implemented in the current fiscal year, so we reported that also on page 81. And then last page, page 82, is the management comment letter. So this letter is basically, if something is not significant to make it to a finding, then we report it as items that we would like the board to, just know about. And so we provided that as a management comment letter. So that's all I have. I do want to thank management and everybody that helped with the audit process. I know it is very extensive and a lot of work, so thank you very much. And I'll take any questions from you.
Any questions?
No.
Comments? Thank you, Ms. Singh, for the detailed report. We know audits are, thanks for your thoroughness, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. I want to thank Jackie Benson and her team too, because they work really hard to make sure that there are minimal findings or no findings. And in this case, what we did, the only finding was we did have 2 unduplicated pupils that were not accounted for appropriately. So we've already made changes to our internal processes to make sure that we don't have that situation happening in the next year.
Yeah, thank you, Jackie, and your team.
Usually get it in hardcover. I said we usually get it in hardcover ahead of time. I wonder if we were going to get it. It was on this instead.
Over 15,000.
So this is a very detailed report.
Correct.
Usually is.
Okay, thank you. So we need a motion to accept the report. If someone,
I'll move to accept the report.
this is motion by Ms. Bradford.
Second.
Second by Ms. Ortega. Any other questions, comments? Okay, let's call for the vote, please. Motion passes 5-0. Item C, approve instructional materials for adoption. Mr. Dabrowski.
Thank you. These are our textbooks for AP Statistics, AP World History, AP Government, and AP French. And just as a reminder of the process, they were chosen by teachers of these courses, then recommended for you by the teachers of the Instructional Council. And at the last meeting, you approved them for public viewing, and they've been publicly available since then. We have not received any public comments, and so tonight we recommend that you approve them for adoption.
Thank you, Mr. Dabrowski.
Make a motion to approve instructional materials for adoption.
Motion by Mr. Mendez.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Chard. Any other questions or comments?
I have a question. How often do they revise these for our AP classes?
We generally revise them when the College Board revises the test.
Oh, okay.
And so there's not I don't believe there's an actual cycle by which that happens,
Right.
but when they do revise the test, we revise the textbook to ensure that the students are getting the best instruction to be able to pass the test.
I didn't see them. Can you tell me like a span? Is it from like the 40s to the 80s? I mean, are we still going way back and including it all the way up here to now? In other words, the period of time that the history books cover.
Oh, AP
How do they,
World History? Oh,
yeah,
gosh.
the World History. How is it? You haven't seen them
I
either.
don't know the answer to that question.
That's
I can get you that information. But
That's fine. Okay. I didn't realize that they were on display, or I would have gone and looked at them. So, okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments, questions? All right, let's call for the vote, please. Motion passes 5-0. Item D, adopt at a second reading ordinance number 2018/02, ordinance of the Board of Education for the Jurupa Unified School District, acting as the legislative body of Community Facilities District number 18 of the Jurupa Unified School District, authorizing the levy of a special tax. Mrs. Ford.
This is the final step in the formation of CFD number 18. The board is to conduct a second reading of ordinance number 2018/01, which provides under the Melrose Community Facilities Acts for the levy of special taxes within the boundaries of CFD number 18. This CFD, if you'll recall, this is the one that was that last corner of at Wineville and Cantu Galliano. That was a dairy and now is no longer a dairy, so our last dairy. And copies of the ordinance and the rate and method of apportionment of special taxes is included in your backup materials. Business Administration recommends the board adopt ordinance number 2018/02.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mrs. Bradford.
Second.
Second by Oh, I'm sorry. Motion by Mrs. Chard. Second by Mr. Mendez. Okay. It was close. Any other questions or comments? Okay, let's call for the vote, please.
Getting giddy now.
Motion passes 5-0. Item E, adopt resolution number 2018/37, resolution calling for the full and fair funding of California's public schools. Mr. Duchan.
Thank you, President Garcia. A number of us tomorrow are going to a workshop on the governor's budget. And the governor has announced that he will provide full, and I use that term carefully, funding for the LCFF. Well, it's interesting that the LCFF is based on the 2007-8 school year's purchasing power. And so full funding in California to the people that fund us is nowhere near what full funding could or should be in 2018. We are well below the national average, generally in the bottom 3, 4, or 5, depending on how you count, and yet we're one of the wealthiest states in the country. We continually, those of us who go to Sacramento here, don't even bring up the issue of more money, but at the same time, there are accountability dashboards that are out. The public rightfully wants to know how and why we spend our money, and there are continually more demands on school districts' budgets. So this actually came from the California School Boards Association, which rightfully, and I'm glad, is taking a position on full and fair funding of schools in California. It is in our Constitution, and for you, for us, for our teachers, our staff, to do the jobs that we all need to do, we certainly need ample funding. And I think it's a little bit of a misnomer to say that LCFF is fully funded. It kind of leaves the public thinking we have all the money we need. So, end of my little speech, and it's on your agenda if you choose to pass it.
Okay.
I was also going to add a comment. I was going to hold back because I think I say this every meeting now, but when we talk about funding that comes to the district, and it's not just in education, it's in many other sectors, and that is the encroachment of funded on liabilities in terms of, STIRS and so forth. And so, I just keep bringing that up because in addition to what we're talking in terms of the allocation that's given, that much of that is continuing to encroach into that amount each and every year, with each passing year. And yet I know I'm talking to the wrong group of people here because it's the legislature that needs to do something about it, or somebody else needs to deal with the issue. And like I said, it's not just school districts, it's all kinds of other public agencies throughout the state. And so that's always something that... Okay, let go.
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Mendez, and I'll save any other additional comments about this till the end of the meeting. Anybody else? Okay. Do we have a motion?
So move.
Motion by Ms. Ortega. Second by Mrs. Bradford. Let's call for the vote, please.
That's your last item.
Motion passes 5-0. Okay, on to the last item. Board member committee reports or additional comments. Mrs. Chart.
I don't have any.
Okay. Mrs. Bradford.
It's going to say on my tombstone, I always have an opinion. I went to the district holiday party, which was in this room, which had the 3 choirs singing, which again never fails to make me start crying. And for the number of times that I've heard them sing, it was this last December that really hit me, the unifying moment that all of those voices, the maturing men's and women's voices, the projection of what they can become, it really hit me of, do they realize in that moment that they are a part of something majestic? And I think, you know, it's not in the future when we're going to be thinking of Creedence Clearwater Revival or whatever the song is that's popular now. It's going to be the kind of music that they made together as an ensemble in the true sense of the word. Same thing with these little ones singing. Okay, let's see, what else did I want to say? Going to the Innovation Center, that was spectacular and money well spent. I took my brother with me, who is a professional farmer for all of his career throughout California and the Middle East, just so he could see the agribusiness component. And he said, you know, if that had been presented to him as a college student, you know, the Dr. Seuss, oh, the places you'll go, what these students have ahead of them, the sophistication of learning that high schoolers receive now, and they don't know it. They don't know it. But I'm glad they're ours. So thank you, Dr. Hansen, and all of our teachers. Thank you to the marvelous teachers and the adults who are the role models. Bets, I think of you. Every child should have a caring and adult who says, I'm proud of you. Okay, let's see, what else? Oh, I also had my own moment of humility when one of the students guided me to the virtual reality welding. And I realized, although this is something I've wanted to learn as an art form, don't quit my day job. And again, I continue to be incredibly impressed at the scope of learning and enrichment that is presented to our young people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bradford. Mr. Mendez.
I'd like to extend my appreciation to the staff in the business department, along with Ms. Paula Ford, for the successful audit report and the continued manner in which the business of the district is taken care of each and every day. And Ms. Corbin is gone, but I also attended the JAG Expo this past last week, I think it was. And I was impressed. I think that after having been at the committee recognizing her for the best of the best and reading what was written on that submission that was made on her behalf as the principal of that school, attending the JAG Expo actually showcased that leadership that she has at that school, the way she connects with the community, as is stated in the writing that was submitted to us, and everything else that was stated in there. You could see it reflected in that event that evening. So it's wonderful to go out and see those things in our schools. And I had mentioned to a couple of people that I'm still so impressed with Pacific Avenue Music Academy. In such a short period of time, those kids have grown tremendously in their skills and talent. And the thought that comes to mind, those of us that have attended the CSBA conference and we see other schools showcasing performances from their music departments, I can't wait to see our group at one of the future CSBA conferences. So it's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mendez. Ms. Ortega?
Yeah, and there's also an opportunity for us board members to be a part of that conversation of the updates of the governor, and I will be hopefully attending, and it's going to be a workshop type of thing too in Moreno Valley. So Riverside County School Board Association is setting that up. and for us to be well educated on how we also can talk to legislation and advocate for our funding here in the local level, I think is very important. And and if in the long run be able to write policy or be able to talk and have these conversations with our legislators, I think that's a critical part of our work that we need to do too. I commend also the technology conversations that we're having. I think we can't now not talk about workforce and technology put together. I think the shift and the trends that we're seeing now and how education is being able to tap into this is just incredibly exciting, and we as a district is obviously leading in that with the Innovation Center and preparing our students with hands-on. I mean, that day we were welding and my dad was a welder, and I was like, wow, that is hard, but hands-on. And I went to a school that was very hands-on, a polytechnic school, so we're offering that to our students, and that's very exciting. And 2018 is going to be extremely exciting for our district, for our community. Also, I had the opportunity to read over, and I don't even know how we send this, but I know it's because we have this platform that we can lead and we can. One of the speakers up here said, our children also teach, and I think that's true. I think their experiences, the experiences that they live, are teachable moments for us too. And this leadership magazine that I got was all about health and wellness and how us as districts and leaders can have these conversations. And we're talking about adverse childhood experiences and the wellness and looking above and beyond just education, looking at the whole child and being able to as well create resources and better futures for our students and for our community. And last but not least, I just wanted to send all my condolences to one of our students who passed away also during the break. His name's Cisco Galvis. And just very unfortunate tragedy. And again, to tapping into the health, just, us not taking any little thing for granted and how precious our health is, and especially with our children, if they have a fever, if they, we know it's important for them to come to school, but if we know that it's, consistent, we encourage to take them to the doctors to get checked, to take those medications as it is very important. We send our prayers to this family, and I also wanted to thank an alumni here who's a brother who they're the Mendoza brothers who have
probably 45th or so in per pupil funding. And I mean, there's something wrong with that, I think. And some folks might say that we should do, or school districts should do more with what they got. Well, they don't take into account for, as Dr. Hansen was talking about, the explosive job market, the rising costs of labor and materials and just that whole thing. I mean, you can't make do with what you got, especially if you're going back to 2007, 2008 funding levels. So as Ms. Ortega was saying, let's talk to your legislators and when they make a phone call, because they're going to be looking for your vote in November or in June, take them to task and ask them those questions. Why does this disparity exist, and what are you going to do about it? And so, I mean, they're bugging you during dinner time, so just give it to them. And you should expect them to value education. Education is probably the most important thing, and for us as a society, because that's where our kids are getting educated. And so, do with that what you will, but if you value society, I think you should value education as a top priority. And so, moving on to my next topic, real quick, I had an opportunity to go to a couple of schools today, Glen Avon, and I just paid a visit there, and got a chance to look at the maker space, and as we were walking through, myself and Miss Bottom, we ran into some first graders, and they had a little worksheet, and it was called "Engineers Make Things Better," and it was just a workshop, a little what do you call it? An exercise where they try to make a bicycle better, and it's not just first graders, sixth graders, anybody who wants to go in there on rainy days or hot days, they can go in there and do this stuff. They have a 3D printer, some other tools available to them there. So, our schools are doing great, and I like the pathways that the path in which we're going. One of the bicycles even had an icy machine, so I thought that was pretty neat, in case you get hot. And so I had an opportunity to go to Mission Bell too. I was in the neighborhood, and it was still kind of early, and I wanted to kind of see the building. The office is open now, and it looks very nice, very clean. The windows, and it kind of took me back to the Parent Center when we had the opening there. And our mayor back then, Mayor Vern Lorison, had mentioned that it wasn't too extravagant. I mean, it's not budget either. It's just appropriate, And I want to thank the staff for that, making it appropriate, but making it look really nice. Because, we're spending taxpayer money here, and, we got to be frugal about it and do the right thing. And I'm really proud to serve with my board members up here. You can see they're all very passionate. As I mentioned, we serve with unity and purpose for our students here in Jurupa. So thank you for joining tonight. And Mr. Duchamp, any final comments?
No. Thank you all. It's a pleasure to serve with you.
Okay. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.